Welcome to Film Phreeks. This is Justin Llewellyn.
And Eddie Williams.
And tonight we're going to be doing another Netflix review of a film that's come out just over this weekend as we're discussing this, and that is the extremely wicked, shockingly evil and vile, which is directed by Joel Berlinger and stars Zac Efron, Lily Collins, John Malkovich, and among others. And this is the film that's based on the real-life story of serial killer Ted Bundy, and it's also based on the memoir called The Phantom Prince, My Life with Ted Bundy by his real-life former girlfriend, Elizabeth Kendall. And the film basically tells the story of basically the life and the life between that was centered between Ted Bundy and his former girlfriend he was with, Elizabeth Kendall, and then his eventually that leads down to his trial when he was
his famous trial, if you guys remember, and it was actually the first televised trial done on television.
Yeah, and basically the movie is really, it's mainly about the recourse that's based on the relationship between him and her, and also tells the story of, if basically the movie's basically going for if he's presumed innocent, the way that the narrative goes. Now, here's some backstory. Now, this movie was directed by Joel Berlinger, who, if you may remember, he's the guy who he's mainly known for like documentaries and stuff that he's done, but he's mainly most famous for making probably one of the worst movies I ever saw, which was Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2. And from the trailers and then basically I've heard stories about Ted Bundy, about his crimes and stuff in the past and everything, and there have been different various works based around Ted Bundy. Like in the '80s, we had this miniseries called the Deliberate Stranger and things like that. So this is like the first bigger budget version we've had of Ted Bundy, I think.
Yeah, and we had a Ted Bundy straight to video. If you guys remember, in the late '90s, early 2000s, we were getting these really straight to video exploitation back and forth. We had Gacy, we had Dahmer, we had Ed Gein, we had all these straight to video rentals.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, Gacy, other than Gacy, maybe Jeremy Renner's Dahmer. As you guys know, none of them's been that great. It wasn't until we got the Zodiac, David Fincher's Zodiac, that they could possibly make big budget serial killers, and I think this one is actually considered a test to see if they can bring it back. Yeah,
definitely. And from the trailers,
Dahmer, my friend Dahmer, which unfortunately I missed. It came out a couple years ago. And I missed that one. It was a character study of Dahmer, and it was a movie that we ended up missing. It was also one of the hardest films to find because it took a year until I was able to find it, but I still have yet to watch it.
Yeah, I still want to check it out eventually. And from the trailers, it kind of got me interested because I've always found to be movies based around serial killers to be interesting. Other than Zodiac, we've had other movies that are centered around serial killers that are fictional. Like last year when we had The House That Jack Built and stuff. And from the trailers, it seemed like at first, just going based off of that, it seemed like they were kind of going that similar approach. I thought, maybe that they were going to.
It looked like they were going for a David Fincher type vibe, and I will say this was in my top 10, must watch of this year. I was really, really looking forward to this, and I was actually kind of surprised it was just a Netflix release. I know it's going to eventually get a limited release, but I actually was I thought this was going to be a major release.
Yeah,
theoretical.
Yeah, I thought too, but when it going to Netflix, I was kind of really surprised. And after upon really seeing the film, I can honestly say that I was pretty underwhelmed with it. It's very mixed.
It has its moments. It's watchable good, but the direction they went with kind of it kind of was a little disappointing.
Yeah, but to get my pros out of the way, the biggest strong point for me the most is Zac Efron. Like, already from the get-go,
Yes.
I thought he was already perfect casting for Ted Bundy, because if you've seen the real life of what Ted Bundy looks like, he looks like fucking Zac Efron when he was younger.
Yes. I will say that Zac Efron, he was the best choice for Ted Bundy. He nailed it out of the park. Now, like you said, the looks is so uncanny. It's crazy that, I mean, they're almost like doppelgangers, whatever you call it. It amazed me how much they looked alike. But also, I thought his performance was really strong in this one too, because if you guys know Ted Bundy, he was also known for being one of the best manipulators. He was a really manipulating kind of killer.
Yeah, he had a lot of...
A strange killer at that, because he was known, like, he's different from other serial killers, let's just put it that way. Talk about a guy who, I don't know the deep stories about, like, his heroism he did a long time ago, like saving a kid from drowning or some shit like that. But this was a guy who had a girl who was a father figure to a step girl, you know, a child that wasn't his. He was a good son, you know, a best friend. Like, he was just like your Mayberry father or a friend, and just a friend that knew how to hide his skeletons. And Zac Efron, I felt like the way that Ted Bundy was known for being manipulated and believing into his lies, I think Zac Efron nailed it out of the park.
Yeah, and as far as like performances, I think out of the movies that I've seen with him, this might probably go down as probably my favorite performance he's done. Because, like, not only does he capture the charisma, but also the really like manipulative side of Ted Bundy, but he also shows, like, in scenes you really feel have an intensity that he goes through, like the emotions he does. And like, there's even a scene toward the end I won't get into, but it really showcases how great of an actor he is. And
yeah, and I want to see him actually. I kind of want to see him in more movies like this.
Yeah, me too.
Because you know, he was known for High School Musical films, Disney movies, cheap shit like that. And then whenever he started getting into raunchy comedies, I found him to be fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
And now he's trying drama and thriller, and I'm fucking liking him in this. I really think he's a guy who has range.
Yeah, he's really come a long way. And to get my other pros out of the way, the rest of the cast were good, especially the girl Lily Collins, who in real life is actually the daughter of Phil Collins, the famous musician. She really brings her A game to this, and the rest of the performances are good. There's some that are here and there that just seem kind of weird or out of place, like the Haley Joel Osment's character comes into play later, and I thought that his character was just kind of pointless. But
it was pointless. I felt like everybody's performance was good. Probably my second favorite performance was probably John Malkovich.
Yeah, he was great.
But he was great. But I mean, he was only playing the judge. I mean, nobody was really meant to stand out, but Zac Efron himself.
Yeah.
But Haley Joel Osment, I'll just go ahead and get out of the way since I'm on the subject. This would be a con. Like you said, he was pointless, but he came off as fucking strange to me. Like, he felt like a killer.
Yeah, it did sound like it, especially at the beginning.
He came off as a fucking creep.
Yeah, when we seen.
He reminded me of a film me and Justin did earlier called The Dirt, where we had that was about the Motley Crue, and we had one standout person and that was Pete Davis, I think is his name is. Yeah,
I think so.
Pete Davis, yeah, that guy. He kind of reminded me of that movie with that guy where they were awkwardly stood out. Yeah.
But to get the rest of my pros out of the way, I like also the way that the film, the cinematography and the production design, it really does capture the 70s and the really, kind of I'm not going to make comparisons, but it's kind of going for that David Fincher look that Zodiac was kind of bringing, on like at least from the way it's set in the 70s and stuff. And I like the way it looks.
The cinematography, like you said, the 70s, the visuals and all that, they stand out. Now, I wouldn't say they were Zodiac good.
No, but they were still they still captured the time period pretty well. And I also liked when it gets into the second half, it does start to dive in more with when they get to the actual trial and everything. They really showcase a lot of what how the court went down and everything, and you see the things that Bundy's trying to elaborate with the jury and everything, and you really get the sense of like who he is and basically you're really thinking in your head like, okay, how's he going to pull this off? It keeps you focused when it goes into those scenes. And then the other thing I will say too is that toward the end, there does something that does happen that I'll say was emotional and pretty disturbing at the same time when it gets to this.
I'd have to agree. The second half to me, on the pros, the second half really kicks up a notch of the film. The trial was fucking great. I thought it was I had a blast, let's just say the least. I don't know if you guys remember, and actually they do a cool thing at the end where they kind of do the whole, where they show the real footage like they do in biography films.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
They actually got a lot of it spot on.
They did.
Zac Efron nailed exactly some of the lines that Ted Bundy said, and if you guys don't know, you can really watch the trial on YouTube. You can pretty much find it anywhere.
Well, and they also have
it's kind of an awkward trial, to say the least, because you had he was kind of like playing off like he was in a movie or something. Like he was having a blast, should I say? Yeah, and he was known for being very awkward like that. Like this guy's facing capital murder, you're facing the death penalty, and he's in there. By the way, Ted Bundy also had a semi-degree in law, and that's what he was going to major in. So he was able to represent himself, and you guys know the famous, like, if you guys seen pictures, you've seen Ted Bundy with his hair slicked sideways with the bow tie, the famous bow tie he had. Yeah. And he represented himself for a majority of his trial, and I'll tell you right now, like the judge kind of said in the movie, and it's a famous lines, and that's where the movie's title came from. The judge actually said that to him. Yeah. And he referred to him as, dude, you were a genius. You had everything going your way, and you were a bright young man. Unfortunately, you took a different route. Yeah. And like you said, that ending, while disturbing, it's pretty sad. I mean, I'm not trying to feel for a serial killer, but it's kind of hard to, somebody that bright chose that path. Exactly. And I also, and that's pretty much where we also now get to our cons. And while I'll say that while the film I thought was interesting, especially when it picks up in its second half, the first act I feel like while there is some interesting points they bring up, they really rush through a lot of stuff that's either not dived into, and they just don't even establish at all in the first half of the film. And I really want to go into detail on this con. So I have a lot of, like, my major con is the first half of this film. It starts going for, like, you think it's going to build up to his first kill and all that. So you get him meeting his girlfriend, all that, before the killings, and you get their relationship, and you kind of like that. Then this film just suddenly just edits out, and it's like pans out. First it goes like 5 years later, then it goes, like, next scene goes 8 years later, then it goes 12 years later, or 8 or 9 years later, and it's just rushing, like, boom, he's killed 5 people, boom, he's suspected of killing 8 people, and then it's like, I'm fucking lost, what the hell is going on? Yeah, it doesn't. I felt like the director didn't know what he was doing in this half, and I felt like basically what he was really interested in was just getting to the trial part.
Exactly.
The trial part is the famous part. But, I mean, I'm not saying I was looking for a straight-on slasher film. A lot of people are like, you know, they bitch about, man, it's not all about the killings. It's about the character study. Well, here's the problem. The first half doesn't even have character study. It isn't until the second half we're learning who Ted Bundy is.
Exactly, and not just that, but that's also falling back into...
If you're making a serial killer film, if you're not going to show me what kind of capable man he was physically by his first kill and building up to what made him nuts, and you don't have character study, that's an issue.
Exactly. Now, I mean, I get what they were trying to go for, you know, especially in the second half with, you know, piecing together whether he is, you know, presumed innocent and stuff. But the problem is that the reason why this doesn't work, and the majority of it, is because we already know who Ted Bundy is in real life. And also, the first half, the way that the editing goes and everything, it's a jumble mess because they would set up scenes that would later fall back to that scene. And keep in mind, this is the same director that did Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2, which had awful editing as well. So it was giving me flashbacks to that kind of jumbled mess that it was going with in the first half.
And I don't know if you want to call this nitpick. I'm just going to bring it out here. And I only bring it out here because I feel like this is the lack of director's fault on not paying attention to his own movie. There's this girl, I guess she was a childhood friend of Bundy, and she comes back in his life by running into him at a dog kennel when he was looking for a dog with his girlfriend. And there's a scene way later in the film where, because Bundy has this thing about manipulating women, saying the same lines. Let's go get a house. We'll have kids. We'll have a dog. We'll have that perfect life. He says it to every these two women or more women he's ran into. And when he says it to that girl, she refers to being allergic to dogs. Well, you were in a fucking dog kennel.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
That makes no fucking sense.
Yeah.
That's like director not pay attention to that. So why did she come up with that line? I'm allergic to dogs. You were in a fucking dog kennel. That's where you ran into. Oh, I haven't seen you in so many years, Ted Bundy. You know, Bundy, you know, fuck. You're allergic to dogs and you're going to go in there? What the hell kind of shit is that?
Yeah, I had to remember that.
Yeah, there's little shit like that actually, there was another thing that was similar. Oh, the ending scene, there where it's supposedly the daughter that's with the mom and Joel Osment character at the end when he's executed, which, by the way, you shouldn't have to say, I'm saying spoilers, we all know what happened to Ted Bundy.
Yeah.
But anyways, you get that ending scene. That's supposedly her daughter. My old lady watched it with me, and she pointed out a good plot hole. Well, when he meets the daughter, it's like in the 70s, and she's like, I think at the time where she was kind of up in the 6 or... It's not when he meets, it's like when they've been together for a couple years. She's around, I guess, 6 or 7. Well, he's executed 89, and she's 16 in that scene. That makes no fucking sense if you know how to do math.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 75, 7 plus... Alright, 1975, 89 is 14 fucking years. 14 plus 7 is 21. Why the fuck is she 16?
Yeah, that was...
So that's what I'm saying. There's some shit this director just totally fucking forgets, and he continues to make a movie he didn't pay attention to. His lack of attention of what he made is what I'm basically criticizing.
Yeah, I got you. And really, I mean, the fact that the film really doesn't really know what it wants to be, whether it's supposed to be a pure character study or if it's supposed to be a documentary film, it's very convoluted the way that they set it up in this first half. So with that, when it does pick up with the second half, it starts to get a lot better, and it really paid itself off toward the end. So with that being said, I like the movie, but I really felt like it was very, underwhelming of what it should have went with.
Should have never been nothing short but phenomenal.
Yeah.
Really. It could have been the next Zodiac.
Yeah.
It just did not hit the marks.
Yeah.
And while it is watchable, it's not a bad movie, but I was highly anticipated, so it kind of disappointed me.
Fair enough. And with that being said, I'm going to give the movie
I'm going to go with the average Joe on the Film Phreeks meter.
Fair enough. I'm also going to give the movie an average Joe on the Film Phreeks meter as well. And for those of you who have also seen extremely the Ted Bundy movie, and also the Netflix documentary that's also on Netflix about the Ted Bundy tapes. Let us know in the comments below of what you thought about it. And if you like what you see here, you can feel free to like and subscribe to our channel and check out some other reviews here and on our website at filmphreeks.com. And we'll be seeing you in our next review. We'll see you later.
Later.